Hello, friends. It has been too long. That's the title of this. It is good to see everybody. It has been so long since I've done a live video. This is not an official podcast. In fact, I don't even know why that intro video played. It's been so long since I've logged into my StreamYard account and talked to my audience live that I forgot how to use it. And it took me a few minutes to get everything set up. But I just wanted to hop on and give some updates because it has been too long. And so I don't have anything major necessarily, just a few things on my heart and made a few notes. And I'm getting a lot of questions and a lot of, I don't know, just want to say, hey. So I've not been MIA. It's just been a long time since I've done a live broadcast because we've had a lot of changes, and I want to give you guys some live updates. I got to see what I'm looking at. Again, it's been so long since I've done this. I don't know if I can find the chat. As you can see, I'm actually in my office in my house. I'm not in my shed. For those that have watched for a while and they're used to seeing the four-wheeler in the background, I'm in a transition period for sure. My husband and I and our whole family, and in fact, we're even doing a fast right now. We're doing a liquid fast. And today is day 4 where I have had no solid food. So cheers to that. I oscillate between anybody else fasting out there. I'm oscillating between, I'm not that hungry to as soon as I smell food, I feel like I could eat someone's arm. So, and then somewhere in the middle. But this is day 4 and we're doing it together, and we're just praying and fasting for the Lord's blessings and clarity in our life and the path that we're supposed to take next, because we have so many things going on, all good, of course. Not that it's always all good, because it's not, but let's see. The last time I did a podcast, I think what ended up happening was I took a role with Brandon Strock and the Walkaway movement to kind of help him get a ground game formed up in New York City. Starting in late August and early September, we were trying to stop Zohran Mamdani from becoming the next mayor of New York City. We were obviously unsuccessful, but I have zero regrets about that effort. It was an incredible experience working with Brandon. I met some really great people up in New York City and still have forged good relationships. Did a Rebuilding Liberty class, one of my Constitution classes, Patriot Academy's newest curriculum, and had some New Yorkers in there. And so it was definitely not all lost. Of course, those who have been watching me a while know that duty is ours, results are God's, and that's my motto. So it doesn't really matter what the results are at the end of the day for me. I'm just following. I'm Lord's willing vessel. I told him that 20 plus years ago when I got saved. I'm your vessel, use me. And so that's how we roll. And so in order to do that and still fulfill all my other commitments with Patriot Academy and make sure Audit the Vote was moving, and my family, of course, was okay. I have an update on that. I'm actually teaching at one of my kids' schools. I'll talk about that in a second. In order to do that, the podcast went on hold. And I had every intention initially of bringing it back as soon as the election was over. And then just circumstances as they be, it just didn't pan out. And I didn't want to just go live again, just to go live with no real agenda. And to be completely blunt and honest with you guys, I've got to find some balance in my life with my husband and my kids and my family. And when we started this journey and we started the petition for the audit, I became a Constitution coach through Patriot Academy in late 2020. With a great friend, Karen Taylor, who's the co-founder of Audit the Vote with me. I never foresaw 6 years later this being my life, where it's completely revamped my old career path, which was basically a mom who ran a bunch of entrepreneurial ventures outside of the house to help with the family finances. I had a ton of things going on. Now I've done a complete pivot, and I'm in the political world. I'm in the teaching arena. I'm education, media. I don't really know. So I'm trying to figure that out, which is why I'm taking some time, and I'm not jumping back in, committing to a regular podcast yet until I just get some things figured out. So that's the update on the podcast. Family updates. So middle of last summer, my kids, I have 3 daughters. They're 15. I cannot believe a 15-year-old daughter. They're 15, 11, and 8. And my 15-year-old started high school this year. She's in 9th grade, but we don't do public school. And in fact, it's still considered homeschool according to the Pennsylvania state law, but they go to a nonprofit organization that kind of functions as an educational arm where there are teachers, and they kind of help a parent that is interested in homeschool. It's called a classical Christian education. Very different curriculum. I fell in love with it after COVID hit, and I started studying the different curriculums and how I wanted my kids to learn. And so I found different organizations that were offering some help to families that wanted to educate their kids classically. And so my kids are all in this classical Christian education program, which is technically homeschool. It's confusing. At any rate, the founder of the school, two incredible women that I just have the honor and privilege. I don't know if they'd want their names public, so I'm not going to drop names, but two incredible women that I get to work with now. Last summer, I'm in the Pittsburgh area, and the co-founder, one of the co-founders of the schools, and I had developed a good relationship because our kids go to school together. And she jokingly says to me, or I thought jokingly, would you be willing to teach? We're struggling to find an Algebra 2 teacher. And of course, they know I have an engineering degree, so I was good at math. I have no teaching background whatsoever, but I do have an engineering degree, which supposedly means that you are good at math. And I said, sure, thinking I could like AI my way through it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? I thought she was like partially joking. Sure, Chat GPT, give me the book and the curriculum. We can figure this out. I seriously thought she was kind of kidding. But next thing I know, they're dropping the book off at my house for the curriculum, and I'm studying exponents and radical expressions. And here we are the first week of September. Not only am I committed to go to New York City 3 weekends and help Brandon, I'm also teaching 9 10th graders Algebra 2, math that I hadn't looked at in 25 years. And so I'm doing that 3 days a week now, which has been as more challenging than I expected it was going to be, but also incredibly so much more rewarding than I expected to be. And I get to be more involved with my oldest in 9th grade. I get to be more involved in her school. And so that's just been tremendous, but that's my biggest update. So I add that to my repertoire. I'm a Algebra 2 teacher this year, and it looks like for the foreseeable future, because I'm loving pouring into these kiddos. I love classical Christian education. If you're a parent out there watching this and looking for a way to educate your child outside of the public school system, look at classical Christian curriculums, classical Christian education. It's a complete game changer. And I don't want this to be long, so we're not going to launch into all of that. But the next thing I want to say is just thank you to everybody that has supported me on all the different endeavors in this journey that I've been on over the last 6 years. Of course, if you had told me in 2019, that Christmas, I will never forget that Christmas before COVID, before the world went insane and the planet was shut down and everything we realized was a lie. Of course, waking up to all of that, never in a million years foresaw me talking to a camera and being live on, I think I'm on every platform possible. I think I'm on Substack. I think I'm on YouTube. I think maybe I'm on Facebook. I think I'm on everything. Again, I got to figure out how to check the comments. I don't even know how to check the comments anymore. I think I found a Mariah, South Dakota CPS is corrupt, lying, stealing, and selling children. Aren't they all? What's the Minnesota mess? We're going to get into some current events because I'm getting questions about that and I can't seem to keep up. So I want to give but first I want to say thank you to everybody that has supported me in whatever way you've done it. Donate. I've had volunteers, hundreds, thousands of volunteers that have donated their time, people that have given monetarily to support Audit the Vote, my paid Substack subscribers. I cannot thank you enough. You have seriously kept food on our table. You have allowed me to continue running my household. And I just can't say thank you enough. I feel like I'm not doing enough to give you enough content and support that. And I plan and I hope to change that and to beef that up a little bit. But I just want to say thank you if you've committed to that, because I could not have continued this journey without you. And then, of course, everyone that's donated to Audit the Vote and Patriot Academy. Amazing things happening there, incredible new initiatives. I'm in kind of a different role there now, which I'm enjoying, getting my feet wet in and exploring what that's going to look like. But we'll talk more about that as well. Audit the Vote has gone nowhere. We are full-fledged ahead. We've got a killer poll watcher program that we are going to launch, hopefully statewide before the midterms, that we built and rolled out right before the 2024 election in Pennsylvania for President Trump. So we're going to roll that out. Our website, we have a whole new design to the website. And in fact, if I can figure out how to share my screen, I'm going to show you the new website. Oh, I should have set this up before. And then I got this other window that like, it's like a vertical window. I don't know how you're looking at me, but however you're looking at me, great to see you. Share screen. Can I figure that out? Believe it or not, I used to be good at this. It's just been so darn long since I've done it that I kind of don't know what I'm doing. And now I don't know what you're seeing because I'm looking at a different screen. you're seeing my screen. Okay. If you go to auditthevotepA.com right now, you will see, I'm even watching myself scroll. Can I do that? No, not really. Our biggest change is we have updated this in such a way, Vico has updated this in such a way that the voter rolls are being imported into, found it. Okay. Hopefully you can see as I'm clicking. The voter rolls now are being live every Monday when they're updated. They're going onto the state map. And so we are tracking registration changes on a weekly basis. So if you're in Pennsylvania and in a county and you want to see what's going on week to week in your county, this is all happening live right now. Registration statistics. Every Monday when the Sure system puts out their new voter roll data, which happens on Mondays in Pennsylvania, it goes right into this map and you can click on it and see, for example, I live in Beaver County. We're close to Allegheny, which is Pittsburgh. You can see the statistics since, let's see, what has Vico updated this? That says January 5th, 2026. As of January 5th, 2026, that is what you're looking at in terms of changes, active registrations, Democrats, Republicans, their advantage. And if you click then on the county, it will take you to a sheet where we are tracking some anomalies. Look at this. So currently right now, that's good. Allegheny, the age of the youngest registered voter is 18. The age of the oldest registration, however, this is a little odd, is 129. So in Allegheny County, there's a 129-year-old still registered on the voter rolls. And then, of course, all the out-of-state issues, duplicates, and this is updated on a weekly basis. For every county, you can see all the work we've done down here. We've reorganized the website. And so that's kind of the newest thing as far as website stuff. We also, at the very top, so 2025 was, it wasn't a bad year. It was a year of change, a year of settling in, a year of, I don't know if you're like me, I ended up being blessed to get to go to the inauguration when they inaugurated President Trump in January of 2025. But I did spend between November 4th or 5th, whatever the day was, until the inauguration day on pins and needles, wondering if we were actually going to get there. Are they really going to let him back in the White House? So 2025 was a lot of just, okay, breathe. This is good. I'm excited about this, but it was kind of surreal from someone in my shoes who has a pretty good breadth of knowledge of the election integrity issue specifically to Pennsylvania. I think it's a flat miracle that he won. We'll never know really if the results are legit until we get hand-counted paper ballots and voter rolls that are controlled locally at the county level and we get rid of black box voting machines. I'm open to auditing any election results, regardless of the outcome, whether I like it or I don't like it, because I'm about truth and we want to get to the bottom of things and have a system that the American people can trust. And that's what Audit the Vote has become. We are election integrity watchdogs. We exposed the fraud from the 2020 election. We believe we had a big hand in stopping the steal of 2024. And we are watchdogging and educating the public, specifically in Pennsylvania, about what they can do so that we can fight to get to a transparent election system, which we don't have right now, but are hopefully on the road to, and it's going to take some time. One of the biggest shocks of my life is that I wasn't in this just for a few months to collect signatures on a petition. This is my new thing. So here we go. Up here at the top, you can click to see we filed an emergency administrative petition with the EAC, that's the Election Assistance Commission, a federal agency that is responsible for certifying our voting equipment at the state level, county level. President Trump, in his election integrity, what do they call it, executive order that he rolled out in March, actually requires the EAC to set certain standards before they can put their stamp of approval and say that this machine is good to go. And they don't meet those standards right now. And so Garland Favorito and Voter GA reached out to me when he was going to do this for Georgia and asked if Pennsylvania would want to join. And so here's the press release for it. It's on our website. We did file this. They did deny our initial request for relief right away. But we did file this. We found petitioners in 4 counties: York, Montgomery, Fayette, and Erie. Thank you to those that filed those petitions individually. We have gracious volunteers that have stuck with us from the beginning and don't mind putting their name out there. They filed their own individual petition. Audit the Vote filed a petition separately on behalf of all the other counties that have Dominion machines, basically telling the EAC to pull the plug on the certification on these because they don't meet the standards. You government agency have said these rules our machines need to follow this, and this, and they don't. So you're allowing these to be used when they're not following your current standards. We were asking them to vacate the certification on those. They did deny that request, the relief that we asked for initially, but they did agree to review the evidence that was presented. That is all credit to voter GA Garland Favorito down in Georgia, an election integrity colleague of mine down there. Such great people down in Georgia doing a lot of good things. He spearheaded all of this, and I kind of just cut and pasted and found people in Pennsylvania so we could join the lawsuit. It's by no means dead. It's just, it's going to take some time. So that's where we're at. That was big updates for Audit the Vote, kind of what we've been up to. I don't think I need to share my screen anymore. I actually have people watching. I didn't know if am I looking at comments? I'm looking at comments. Okay. Audit the Vote update. So my Substack, if you're watching, if you're on From Mom to Patriot, my Substack subscribers, again, thank you so much for your support and following. And I've got emails that I need to respond to. My latest article I put out on Christmas Day was all about how George Washington crossed the Delaware River, believe it or not, on Christmas Day. And it was the turning point in the Revolutionary War. If you didn't know this, here's your history lesson. The Americans were losing really badly. Signed the Declaration of Independence in the summer of 2026. By the winter, by Christmas, they had already lost more battles than they won. All the excitement that was wrapped up in we're going to separate from Great Britain and earn our independence, that was waning tremendously. And if you go back, if you haven't seen that Substack article or you're not subscribed, it is free and open to everybody. You should read it because it's really, really encouraging, especially right now. What I'm seeing right now, especially in the MAGA movement, call it whatever you want, the new conservative populist saving the republic and rebuilding liberty movement that we find ourselves caught up in, is just got a whirlwind of things going on right now. And so if you are looking for encouragement, studying history, I find the best encouragement, aside from my time with the Lord and the Bible and fellowshipping with other believers, I find in history very encouraging. Because who would have thought George Washington, against all odds, they were losing, they lost more battles than they won. But on Christmas night, they crossed the Delaware River into Trenton, New Jersey, where British troops were. And that's what the tide turned in the Revolutionary War. And the American spirit was rekindled in the fact that they thought we actually have a shot at this. And so it's such an inspiring story. And it's a testament and a lesson to us that duty really is ours and results are completely up to God. And so that's what we're continuing to do. So I've started a separate Substack section called the Liberty Classroom. So that's what's going on with that. And that's going to be designed for people that have taken my Constitution classes, the Patriot Academy curriculum that they put out, from Constitution Alive to Biblical Citizenship in Modern America. The newest one, Rebuilding Liberty, you'll see, am I pointing to the right direction? Our Rebuilding Liberty, thank you, Roger Bartley, if you're watching this. He's one of our Constitution coaches and gave me that for the event we had. You can't see it behind my microphone. That's our latest curriculum from Patriot Academy, and I just finished a Rebuilding Liberty class. I'm starting another one. If you're interested in taking it, that is, again, one of the best things you can do to keep yourself encouraged, uplifted, moving in the right direction, is surround yourself with like-minded people, and let's get educated on our founding documents. That's what all of Patriot Academy curriculum courses are all about. So we are going to be starting another Rebuilding Liberty class. I originally had it slotted for January 12th, but I'm going to have to push it to the end of this month just because of all the other things that have popped up on my calendar. But all that to say, as I've put thousands of people through Constitution classes, Karen and I starting together, and then eventually her going one way and me going another, my students want to stay connected after the fact. And so I'm starting a Substack page called the Liberty Classroom that I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with yet, but it's going to be a place that we can educate one another and stay connected and have open dialogue. So much has happened. I forgot Charlie Kirk, the Charlie Kirk situation. I haven't gone live since Charlie Kirk was shot and assassinated, which is just still surreal in a lot of ways to even think that happened. We have a lot to learn. And so I'm not sure what the Liberty Classroom, what all we're gonna put out, but there's that on my Substack. And then with Patriot Academy, I'm in a different role there. Patriot Academy has tons of new content coming out this year. Their Patriot Institute is a 1-year program. Rick hates when we call it a gap year, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's a gap year program Mostly the best fit for this, anybody between the ages, I think, of 18 and 25 can go. It's 9 months during the school year. Essentially, you have a kid that's graduating high school and isn't sure what they want to do with their life. Rather than pushing them into an institution that's going to completely indoctrinate them with the Marxist ideologies that we're seeing play out right before our eyes, it's a place they can go and get infused with biblical worldview, constitutional education, real history, but not just that, leadership skills, life skills, communication skills, how to budget, it's basically life coaching. Let's raise up this 18-year-old kid and teach him how to be a good biblical citizen adult. Spend 9 months in Texas on the Patriot Academy doing that and helping you find your purpose. It's meant to help young people find their purpose and then help them with the next step steward, whether maybe they do need what they feel called to do does require a college degree. Let's face it, as much as the woke universities are out there, I kind of want my doctor to have gone to medical school and studied some stuff. If you're going to be an attorney, which we need constitutional attorneys, you need a law degree. So if those things come to pass, a young person spends time there and feels called into an arena that requires a degree, the Institute is going to help them. They're going to help them figure out what that next step looks like. But all of that to say, it's an incredible program that last year was kind of very experimental piloting. They had 12 scholars on campus, and this year they've doubled that, and there's a ton of interest. There were 100 kids that are interested in attending the Institute that Rick and the team and the rest of us are raising money to try to help scholarship these kids, because it's not free. Nothing is free. And a lot of them just don't have the money to go. Incredibly reasonable, $15,000 a year for a kid to go to the Institute to spend 9 months there. In fact, my oldest daughter, I hope she wouldn't mind me sharing this with her. The older she gets, I'm realizing I do have to get her permission before I throw anything about her on social media. Has decided right now she thinks that that's her path when she graduates, is to go to the Patriot Institute in Fredericksburg, Texas, and spend those 9 months finding her purpose with our Patriot Academy family. So that's going to be really interesting. But I'm in a whole new role there. And so for my Patriot Academy friends and families, if you want to support that, if you feel led in your heart to support that, however that is, whether it's hosting a class, becoming a coach, or monetarily, I will be rolling out a QR code. I have my own link actually now, so we can track actually what's coming directly from me for cash flow purposes and for just to make sure the Patriot Academy sustains for generations to come if Jesus doesn't come back soon, like I hope he does. We all hope he comes back tomorrow. I guess, so those are my big updates. Let me see if I can figure out how many people are watching. Hi, guys. Oh, now I got comments. Look at this. Let me see. Believe it or not, I used to know what I was doing. Lola, tell Rick to save a spot for you and to work there in a few years. He wants to do the 9-month institute after he finishes at Grove City. Melanie, that's 100% doable, and you and I should connect because I can raise money and get him a scholarship if finances make things tight. So we can work on that together. That's kind of part of my new role with them. So, okay, post a link to sign up for the new Rebuilding Liberty class. I will post the link. I have it. Thank you for the reminder. Just note that the date is going to change, and I've got to get an email out that is on my to-do list to let everybody know that's expecting to start this upcoming Monday on the 12th. We're going to have to push it to the last Monday of January, but I will get the link. Thank you, MCG581. I will get that out there. Feel free to share this with people as well. We're just talking and I'm just giving updates, and thank goodness I wrote stuff down. My podcast, I think I talked about that already. It's not that I'm not coming back to the podcast. I felt and still feel very led to get January 6ers and their stories out there. I do think with the anniversary of J6, it did my heart so much good yesterday, of course, to see Sarah McAbee and Robert Morse, the Lego Man. I saw them briefly on Real America's Voice doing kind of a promotion of their next thing. Sarah's foundation, Stand in the Gap, and Robert's starting Lego Man Productions, which is going to be wholesome Christian entertainment. It's amazing to see kind of what the people that are being raised up, how the Lord is raising people up in all these different arenas to help save the Republic. And I haven't given up on that. Of course, my great friend, Brad Bennett, who is Man of Valor on social media, was a January 6er, had to spend 2 months in prison, and he and I were friends for 20 years. I've had him on the podcast. If you don't know who he is or his background, go check out the Audit The Vote podcast on whatever platform, and you can learn all about Brad and who he is. But Brad and I were friends for 20 years. We were in a direct sales network marketing company for 20 years together. We grew up essentially as adults together. And he and I were supposed to meet up on January 6th on election day. And we ended up not connecting that day, texting back and forth. And Brad was one of the ones that just walked into the Capitol, prayed with folks, walked around, walked out, and then did end up getting nabbed as one of the J6ers. Thank God he was pardoned, and he is completely free now and rebuilding his life. But the government did do significant, horrific damage to every single one of those. But Brad is close to home because we knew each other, and I was trying to meet with him that day. And the really funny thing is, which I posted on my Facebook today, is that when he got, so let's see, I think he ended up turning himself in. He knew there was a warrant out for his arrest. It's April of 2021. He turns himself in. We were just starting. The Audit the Vote petition at that time was just starting to get traction for election integrity. So I didn't have all these YouTube channels, all this following, podcasts, met president, none of this stuff. It was just in its infancy, starting to get some traction. And when Brad had to turn himself in, there was a warrant for his arrest, and he did spend 2 months in federal prison. But what is really strange is that the text messages on my phone, from my phone to his phone, we were speaking January 5th. Because we were coordinating, are we going to meet down there? We were on the 6th texting back and forth. What's going on? He told Ashley Babbitt was shot. Oh my gosh. But there was enough proof, but on my phone and his, on the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and our communication that would have exonerated him, that would have proven that he was completely innocent. Oddly enough, those text messages on my phone are gone, completely gone. I can go back through and scroll my text messages all the way back for however long he's been in my phone, and we've been texting for years. January 5th, everything is there. Between the 6th and the end of May are completely wiped out. That's kind of funny, isn't it? But praise the Lord, he's been pardoned and he's rebuilding his life, and I'm looking forward to seeing what God has for him next. But before I resume, all of that to say, back to the podcast, I am just taking some time to get settled into these newer seasons and different areas where I feel that the Lord is calling me into. We're going to start creating content. My plan is to create some content on Audit the Vote to raise more awareness around what we did find in the 2020 election. Thank God that we got a reprieve and President Trump is in there. And with all the things that are happening right now with Venezuela, Maduro, and I'm seeing all the stuff circulating. By the way, Sidney Powell was right. All the stuff, if you followed it all the way back then and you heard all about her Smartmatic and Dominion and its origination in Venezuela and how it changed hands multiple times in Canada and people hacked the machines, all of that stuff is legitimate. Now, it never went through the proper court process so that we could get to the bottom of it. So I'm not making any claims of how it was manipulated, but all of that stuff that Sydney was exposing back then, we are now finding out was legit. And yeah, welcome to the party, people. Those of us election deniers, our crazy election deniers, have been saying that for 5 years now. But with that stuff coming back to light, I'm going to start creating some content to show the results that we found, because our canvassing effort that we canvassed in 12 counties and I think knocked between 3,000 and 5,000 doors statewide to ask voters if they actually participated in the election and how many people were registered to vote at their address and how many of them voted. We launched that effort statewide. We had 12 different counties published on our website. I have binders with all of the documentation right over there in my office, which I was going to try to turn the camera and show you guys that, but I think, should I don't know. Dara, I think I can see. Oh, I can see where I'm pointing you. Okay, hold on. See all those binders over there? Oh, and my light is in the way. This is going to be bad. You'll have to wait for the content. See those white binders? All those white binders are our canvassing data. So I've never really, we're going to try to create some micro content on social media that can get more exposure and get that stuff out. Cause I would love to go back on a media circuit and talk about what we found. We were ignored heavily and heavily censored. And in fact, our YouTube channel, I might be live on my original YouTube channel. I have 2 YouTube channels now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're on the Audit the Vote YouTube channel. I had one that I made before Audit the Vote started when I took the Constitution class, just to try to talk to my audience and start getting educational type things out there. And then I was banned and it was yanked because it morphed into the Audit the Vote channel as we got traction and as the petition got more and more support. And we actually thought we were going to get some answers and get closer to what the heck happened in 2020. It morphed into an Audit the Vote channel. And then I believe it was 2022, in the spring of 2022, YouTube cracked down and censored and took that channel away. However, my husband and I went on an anniversary trip. We were married 20 years in October. And as we're on our trip kind of vegging, he says to me, you should try to get your YouTube channel back, because I've heard people are getting them back. And I thought, yeah, right. And no joke, I get into my email and do whatever the deal was. And within minutes, they're like, yep, sorry, we took you down. You can have it back. You yanked our whole following and said that we misinformation and violated community standards, and then basically said, whoops, so is that YouTube admitting that the 2020 election was actually maybe questionable? Can we say it was questionable at this point? I don't know. But either way, my YouTube channel is back, and I was trying to stream and go live on here, but I don't know that that's actually going to work. Right, Lola? Stuff we've known for years is finally resurfacing. Someone told me today that Wendy Bell mentioned Audit the Vote PA on her show. I'm so thankful for the voices that did believe us and did give us some platforms to get stuff out. But we, by no means, the public by and large still has no clue of what we found here in Pennsylvania through our Audit the Vote efforts. And hopefully we can change that over the next few months as we create that content. So that being said, this last thing, how long have I been yapping? 30, here we go, 30 minutes. I thought I'd get on here 5 minutes and say hello and I'd be done, but I'm still yapping. All this, the crazy talk, we still today, I get the criticism, the split. You've got the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons, and everybody in between. There's just so much chaos going on right now. Who knows what to believe? I don't have all the answers. Anyone that tells you they have all the answers, I think that's a little bit of a red flag. I will tell you this. I was encouraged when I shared today on my Facebook page to see that RFK made some strides in terms of eliminating fluoride from the water system. And I remember when when they first got sworn into office, he was taking a lot of heat for certain compromises. And I don't remember exactly what they were. But I remember even his VP, who I think is great, by the way, I'm not criticizing her, Nicole Shanahan. She's got an incredible testimony of how she came to Christ and has had her life radically transformed. But even she was getting kind of critical and giving him some heat back then for whatever decisions he was having to make. And let me just kind of share with you some perspective of things that I've learned in the last 6 years, because I felt this way when I first got into this, thinking that it is what it is. And if you're not willing to give us what we want, then you're part of the swamp, and the heck with you. And unfortunately, that's just not how the world works. It's certainly not how politics works. But I'll give you an analogy with just with kids, because I'm in the world of kids. Everything is a negotiation, everything, especially in the world of politics. So when somebody does one thing, you see one news bit of something, even MTG, I don't know what's going on with MTG right now, but I know she did a lot of good. Sure, she ended up doing a lot of questionable things. Aren't we all? Don't we all make mistakes? Or aren't we all sinned? Haven't we all fallen short? And I'm not justifying anything either. What I'm saying is I'm trying to take a very objective, level-headed look at everything that's going on right now and really just try to analyze, what does God have for me? What is my path to make an impact? And really, where can I make a biggest difference in the culture? And so I'm not getting hung up on differences, the MAGA split. Candace, knock yourself out. I do think she's a little off the reservation with everything that she's doing. There might be some truth to the stuff she's spitting too. And negotiation is how the world works. When you have kids, my kids, I was trying to give a recent example. My two younger ones especially, they're two peas in a pod. They get along so well, and then they'll be like bickering and fighting and wanting to kill each other the next minute. And I want to paint. Well, I want to draw, and I want to get out Play-Doh, and but they want to do it together. Well, I want to do this and I want to do that. And mom has to get involved and intervene and help the negotiation. Okay. You want to paint dogs and you want to draw flowers. Somebody has to give here. Like, what are we going to do first? We'll do one and then we'll do the other. Or why don't we draw flowers and paint? Somebody has to get involved and mediate that. And that's true in everything you do in order to live in a civil society, our republic as we know it, that we are rebuilding, in order to have a society where people get along, they treat their neighbor according to the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. There has to be negotiation because we aren't carbon copies yet. AI hasn't. And I don't know, Elon Musk might be the Antichrist. Who knows? I'm thankful he bought Twitter. Looks like he saved free speech. Is he trying to make us computers? Maybe. I don't know. So all of that to say, politics especially is very, very not just nasty, but there's negotiations. Anytime you're going to get something done, you're going to have to give something up to the other side to get what you want. And so just try to keep that in mind as you're looking at all the stuff that's happening. And so that RFK thing today was like a perfect example to me. I remember him getting hammered. And I even remember myself asking like, dude, what, already you got compromised? And I can't remember what it was. Something with the way he handled pharmaceuticals or something was just like, dude, really? And then today, look, he might have had to give in an area to get what he wanted. And that is just the way things work. And so Dan Bongino, oh my gosh, that's another one. Dan Bongino is back. And I see everything from people saying you're a traitor, throwing him under the bus, to thank you for your service. We can't wait till you're back. And then there's, of course, the mishmash in the middle. And I'm thinking, first of all, I'm not saying I'm on or not on his side, but I do know this. No one person is fixing anything. Am I disappointed that they didn't completely dismantle the FBI yet? Heck yeah. Am I disappointed that we haven't seen perp walks and no one's in jail for the stolen 2020 election, or that Fauci isn't, I'll keep it PG, or that Fauci is still walking the earth, even though it looks like he orchestrated like the death of millions, potentially tens of millions of Americans, and made a boatload of money off of it through the COVID vaccine? Yeah. But the wheels of justice turn slowly. And I do think that things are happening. I know things are happening because we're seeing them happen. But when you get a chance to get a deep dive and really study and look at how things come about, understand that everything is a negotiation. We don't know. I'm just sitting back and saying, let's see what happens with Bongino. Let's see when he goes back to his show. Maybe he'll come out hair on fire and start spilling the beans about things that we've all been wanting and waiting to hear. Maybe they Men in Blacked him when he was in there and he's some robot and he's not even really there anymore. And it is all, we just go full black pill. You know, one of my favorite comedians seems like he's black pilled now, Jim Brewer. People that have been watching my stuff for a while know I absolutely love Jim Brewer. I'm going to see him live. He's coming to Pennsylvania in April. Already have tickets. Love that guy. His latest stuff he's putting out right now, Funny How God Works, is absolute gold. So genuine and so encouraging to see his journey with the Lord. And he's being super transparent. But he's black-pilled. He's kind of like not really MAGA anymore. And he's just all about love and human beings, and we got to treat everybody right. And I don't disagree with that. But I'm not crazy about the fact that he's not looking at it from the lens that I'm looking at it from, which is let's just wait. Let's just learn to investigate and to understand our founding and to understand how we can kind of rebuild a civil society like the founders intended. And let's ask questions and hold people accountable, but we're not going to agree with everything all the time. And there's so many facets and sides to these things that we don't get to see. I'm not going to throw shade or judge anybody just yet. So that's kind of the lens I'm looking at this through. I'll tell you one last story and then I will finally wrap this up. I can't believe how many people are watching. Great to see you guys. There are, back to the side, multiple sides to things. The reason I try not to get too hung up on when you see something like, oh, Bongino's resigning, it was like, that could go multiple ways. Does that mean that he's just realized he got in over his head and he can't make the difference he thought he could? Does it mean that he's been compromised? Does it mean that maybe he really did get in there for just a year? I'm going to do this and then I'm going to leave. We don't know. There's so many sides to this. We just don't know. And the best way that I can think to describe that and hopefully relate to folks that are out there, we just came out of the holidays. And this is something that I learned after losing both my parents. I'm not going to get choked up and cry. So my father passed away 16 years ago. It'll be 16 years in January this month. And my mother died 3 years ago. And really and truly, this holiday season for me was maybe one of the hardest ever, which it sounds bizarre because this wasn't my first rodeo. It wasn't my first holiday without her. It wasn't my first holiday without him. It wasn't my first Christmas without the two of them. But there was something about this year that I cried, I think, almost every day from before Thanksgiving up through Christmas. And, I got through it. I coped, and the Lord walked me through in ways I never could have imagined. In fact, we got a piano because my middle daughter's taking piano lessons, and I started playing piano again. I hadn't played since I was a kid. And that was my family was very musical, and it makes me feel kind of still connected to that. And it was very comforting, and it's wild. But what I learned in that journey of having to grieve parents, what we were taught in some of the grief counseling classes that we went to was there are things on the other side of that. We only have one perspective on this side of heaven. And there are things when we cross over and get to the other side that will be revealed to us. And when we understand God's full picture of why did that happen? Do I have questions about why my father passed away before my kids were even born? The fact that he's not here to get to see them grow up. I can't. And if you're listening to this and you get it, you're in that situation, you know how hard it is. If you don't, and I hope you're not, you just can't relate. But it is a pain and a difficulty to navigate that only someone that's been through can explain. And the whys are endless. Why? I will never know that. But someday when I meet my maker and hopefully get to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant, I will have the whole picture. And when that whole picture comes into play, maybe it had to happen because something else couldn't come. I can't even imagine. Here's something. My mother passed away the summer before the Shapiro hits came on me in the media, before death threats started coming to my house because of that. I don't know how she would have handled that. She lived with me. And as her daughter, now that I have kids, as much as, I want them to be hardcore patriots, we're raising them to be that way. We had family that when they found out we went to January 6th, they weren't too fired up that we went, and they're patriots, but they were like, why did you do that? Because they're our family, their parents, aunts, uncles, they love us. They want to protect us. Maybe that's why my parents aren't here. So they wouldn't have to see the attacks that their daughter had to be. I don't know. I'm giving you a perspective in the way that I think about things that are keeping me sane in this current environment that we're in. I'm focusing on the wins. I'm being really patient with the things that I don't like, taking it all in, and I'm just trying to soak it up and learn, study. Education is key. The fix is local. You can get on, I highly recommend everybody on here get on patriotu.com. It's Patriot Academy's streaming service. There's a lot of content right now on there that is not behind a paywall. A ton of stuff you can binge watch just like you would a Netflix series. If you binged watch Scandal or Grey's Anatomy, get on patriotu.com and binge watch Biblical Citizenship or Rebuilding Liberty. That's what I think we need to be doing right now, is digging ourselves in to our relationship with the Lord and learning and studying. And God, what do you have for me next? And so I'm going to shut up because I thought I'd get on here for 15 minutes and we're at 43 minutes and this isn't an official episode. Somehow my intro video even played when I hit live. I'm like, oh, how did that happen? I have no idea. But it was great. Again, thank you to everybody that has supported me in this journey in whatever area that you are supporting along the way. Continue to stay strong. I'll post links in the comments to wherever you're watching this. Would love to see a lot of you at my next Rebuilding Liberty class. We have 2026 is going to be a great year. There's a lot of things happening in a lot of different ways. And it's, I'm just God's willing vessel. And it's an honor and a privilege to be in this fight and to have people following me and praying for me. And thank you. So I don't know when I'll be back or go live, but I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful week. A blessed January 1st of the year, 2026. And I'll see you guys soon.